Hello, history lovers. In this video, we are going to talk about a very controversial and yet remarkable topic, Mormons. The recent Mormon propaganda on social media about tradwife, perfect homemaking, and ideal family is just the tip of the iceberg. On the dark side are allegations of harassment and abuse, polygamy, and racism. Although they define themselves as the continuation of Christianity, according to many researchers, the Mormons, who developed a new religious discourse and emerged in the very recent past, found their way to Europe and even Oceania through missionaries in the 19th century and established churches there. Now we are in the 21st century. The old missionaries have been replaced by social media influencers, celebrities, and various means of communication. Their biggest rhetoric is the ideal family structure and the concept of motherhood and traditional housewifery, which is assumed to be the core of this structure. On the one hand, housewives milk cows, spin wool, bake bread, ferment yogurt, cook that perfect cake and meal. On the other hand, they raise their children, even taking them out of the school system and teaching them at home. On the other hand, they participate in beauty contests, look sexy for their husbands, and manage to stay well-groomed. By the way, they are also the most religious. At least this is what they market to the world. But we said this is the 21st century. All the efforts and great struggles for women to gain a place in the modern world and have equal rights with men are obvious. We are ahead of the beginning of the modern world and behind the target, but at least we have gained a place. Anyway, we can talk about these things. At the end of the day, every human being has the right to determine how they live. But in this video, we will try to reveal when and how Mormonism emerged, the truth behind it, and how such religious cults manipulate society. Of course, we are not experts on the subject. We will only share with you the information we have obtained as a result of our research. Don't forget to watch our video until the end, like and comment. Your opinion is very valuable to us. If you are not subscribed yet, you can join us for more history content. Mormonism emerged in the early 19th century in the state of New York in the United States under the leadership of Joseph Smith. Born in Vermont in 1805, Smith was born into a poor family of 11 children. He had no formal education, but he could read and write. And he had been reading the Bible from an early age, and according to the stories told about him, he did not attend any church. Again, it was said that he was trying to make sense of his life. It could also be said that he was spiritually empty. In this state of mind, Joseph Smith, a 14-year-old boy, wandered into the woods near their home and had a vision in which God and Jesus Christ spoke to him. According to his own claim, he was told that all the churches and religious groups were on the wrong track and that he should not join any of them. Under the influence of the vision, he continues to go into the forest for some time. What he expects happens, and he has another vision. This time, he claims that an angel named Moroni appeared to him. If the episode so far has been uninteresting, the real strangeness begins now. The angel Moroni shows Joseph Smith golden tablets hidden in a well in the woods, filled with writings that have been sealed for centuries. However, Smith, by order of the angel, is not allowed to touch these tablets for 3 years, and after 3 years he can take them and start preaching to the people. After 3 years, when Smith receives these tablets, he sees that they are written in an ancient Egyptian language that he had never encountered before. He does not know the language, but with the help of God's power and a stone called the Oracle Stone, he translates the writings in 3 months. During this time, he does not show the tablets to anyone because Moroni forbids anyone but himself to look at them. So, who wrote these tablets? Wait if it doesn't sound absurd yet. When they translated the tablets into English, they realized that in 600 BC, the Jewish people, called Nephite and Lamanite, were cursed by God and forced to leave Jerusalem. They built ships, sailed out to sea, and arrived in the Americas. They saw this as their new home and settled here. When Christopher Columbus discovered America, the Native Americans he met here were their descendants. However, over time, because of their lack of faith, they incurred the wrath of God and were punished with dark skin color. Dark skin? Curse? Wrath. So the Mormons' perception of racism starts from the very beginning of their origins. This is racism in its purest form. Moreover, these people who came to America in 600 BC should have been speaking Hebrew, based on the location where they allegedly started their journey, but they wrote their religion and their origins in an ancient Egyptian language. Why would they do that? But the truth is that according to experts and historians of ancient Egyptian history, Egyptian script, whether altered or original, was never used in the Americas. There is not a shred of archaeological, linguistic, or any other evidence that Egyptian script was ever used in the Americas. Not to mention that in 600 BC, with what technology they built a ship that could sail all the way to the Americas. Moreover, the Book of Mormon says that where these Jewish people lived before they came to America, in Jerusalem, there was an abundance of fruit and wild honey, and that it was a beautiful place. This is also historically untrue, but there is an interesting detail. Before the First Crusade in 1096, European preachers, in order to encourage ordinary people to become crusader soldiers and join the crusade, told and persuaded them that they were going to recapture the Holy Land from whose streets flow honey and milk. And people believed and joined the crusade, and they were very disappointed. Very similar, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on. Joseph Smith transcribes these texts with his wife Emma Smith and a few other relatives as scribes, and begins to tell them around him. First his family, then his inner circle, and many followers began to gather around him. Then the expected happens and Joseph Smith declares himself a prophet. He then embarks on a journey with his followers to find the promised land called Zion, but wherever they go, they are chased away and severely criticized and ridiculed by other Christians. They begin a difficult exodus, first from Ohio to Missouri, and then to Illinois. In the process, they become so marginalized that they become a group that even the American government does not want. Their most criticized characteristic is the polygamy of the men. Yes, a Mormon man can marry as many women as he wants and have dozens of children. Their religious beliefs are also effective in this. A man owns the soul of the woman he marries, and of course the souls of his children, and even the souls of all his descendants. And the more souls you have, the more you are guaranteed to go to heaven. I'm going to interject here and there, because it's very difficult to restrain oneself. When they arrived in Illinois in February 1844, Smith and his brother were imprisoned for treason. On June 7, 1844, both Joseph Smith and his brother Hiram Smith were murdered in Carthage prison by an anti-Mormon mob. Naturally, this caused great turmoil among the Mormons. Although a group of Mormons choose to stay in the region, a new leader, Brigham Young, comes to the fore and wants to continue the migration to continue the search for the Promised Land. They cross the Rocky Mountains and arrive in what is today the state of Utah. That is, outside the jurisdiction of the American federal government of the day. Then they founded Salt Lake City, which became the center of the Mormons. In 1856, the U.S. Congress passed a law banning polygamy and sentenced Mormons who resisted to prison terms. Utah is also incorporated into the federal government, and Brigham Young is appointed governor of Utah. But the rulers' discontent with the Mormons does not end. The fact that they are armed, live as they please, and do not recognize any rules forces the state to take measures against the Mormons. The rulers in Washington feared a Zionist and polygamist kingdom in Utah and began to worry about Brigham Young's theocratic rule. Finally, they sent the army near Utah. Although the war was never a full-scale conflict, it caused many casualties between 1857 and 1858, mostly non-Mormon civilians. In the end, Mormons not directly involved in the deaths are pardoned, polygamy is outlawed, and Brigham Young is deposed as governor. This new religion, which can be called a quintessentially American affair because its promised land is in America, its holy books are in America, and it tells a completely different version of Native American history, is full of problematic teachings. For example, the parts about polygamy are legitimized by a sudden revelation that came to Joseph Smith after he wanted to marry someone else in order to convince his unconvinced wife. In addition, much of the information in the Book of Mormon, which is still considered the holiest book in the community today, matches information in sources written long before the mid-1800s, when the church was legitimately founded. Despite claims that this is brand new information, Many verses in the Book of Mormon are identical to the early modern English translation of the Bible commissioned for the Church of England in 1604 and published in 1611 under the patronage of King James I. Another source of inspiration for the Book of Mormon is the View of the Hebrews, published in 1823 by Ethan Smith, a minister in Vermont. Oliver Cowdery, one of the scribes of the Book of Mormon in Joseph Smith's translation, and his family attended Ethan Smith's church before becoming Mormons. In his sermons to his congregation, Ethan Smith shared his outlandish ideas about the Jewish origins of Native Americans. There are many sources purporting to be the inspiration for the Book of Mormon, written years before Joseph Smith found the golden tablets and mostly printed in New York, where Smith grew up. Anyone can do their own research. Today their congregation, which they still call the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is headquartered in Salt Lake City. They also have a large temple here. The practice of polygamy, though now abandoned, was practiced until recently, and there are still marginalized people who advocate it. Women are relegated to the roles of childbearing and housekeeping, while men reap the supposed benefits. Moreover, they continue to propagandize through social media and digital platforms while continuing their traditional missionary activities. In particular, concepts such as perfect homemaking and ideal family structure are among the themes that Mormons frequently emphasize on social media. While this family structure, in which women are condemned to traditional roles, may seem attractive to many people, behind the curtain lies a great deal of social oppression and inequality. Women who have no financial power, who are confined to the confines of the home and neighborhood, who are even denied the right to reproduce, become dependent on their husbands for everything. Doesn't it sound familiar when you say it one after the other? If we speak independently of religious beliefs, these are issues that we as a country are still unable to overcome. But there is propaganda or missionary work, whatever you want to call it, and while they are doing this, they tell us that this is a wonderful thing, that this is the secret of a happy family. My grandmother was the most perfect housewife of them all. But she wasn't doing it to give people a religious or political message, to promote a sect or a community. She had already learned this way. She thought it was the right way. She knew no other way. I am sure at least your family elders were like that. But the ones who appear on social media today are well off, white, too beautiful to be real, idealized families according to their own beliefs. They are unrealistic and cardboard. I'm not even going into the issue of aesthetics, because there is information that there are more aesthetic clinics in Salt Lake City than in Las Vegas. Anyway, they continue to gain popularity, especially among young women and young mothers. They propagandize their lifestyle on the one hand and their religion on the other. And they're leading to the acceptance of this kind of family structure in society at large. But this is in stark contradiction with the values of the modern world and deepens social inequalities. Today, they have a significant population in the United States and around the world. The Mormon Church, which has approximately 16 million members, continues to be criticized today as it has been throughout history. Apart from polygamy and gender inequality, they are also the focus of heavy criticism such as racism and abuse. Although they consider themselves cursed, they have made great efforts to bring Native Americans into their religion from the very beginning. There is a one-sided love-hate relationship with the Mormons. The strange thing is that they even believed that as they accepted Mormonism and got closer to God, their skin would turn white. To this end, they started a program that lasted from 1947 to the 1990s. They started a program specifically targeting the Navajo Indians that was meant to be cultural. It was not a cultural exchange, it was a program to impose their culture. Moreover, there were children in this program. Children were placed with exemplary Mormon families and were meant to learn about the family structure and their religion. But some of the Navajo Indians who participated in this program later sued the church. And these lawsuits were sexual abuse lawsuits. The Navajo Indians argue that over the years their nation has been subjected to systematic and continuous assimilation efforts, which have irreparably damaged their culture. On the other hand, they turn a blind eye to sexual abuse within their communities, whose lives they follow very closely, even within the family and involving children. Even though similar situations occur in other churches, other congregations, other religions, and their sects, even in our geography, normalizing it and making it seem routine is the greatest evil to be done to the victims. You can do your own research on this issue if you wish. In the end, I wholeheartedly believe that every individual, man and woman, has the freedom to choose how to live, except for children, of course. However, I personally cannot accept the system in which men hold all the social and political power in the world, no matter where they are in the world, no matter which religion, sect, congregation, church, or lodge they belong to, while women are confined to the home only as wives and mothers and coded as gender roles. Otherwise, of course, everyone can live as they wish, if that is what they really want, if she wants this with her free will. But pumping these lifestyles into people as political and religious propaganda is unacceptable. In this video, we tried to understand how Mormonism and similar religious sects manipulate society. These communities, which market a world that they have created in line with their beliefs through social media, actually harbor many problematic teachings at their roots. We wanted to expose how these teachings limit the freedom of individuals and undermine social equality. If you want more of this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our video, and share your thoughts with us in the comments. Your feedback is very valuable for us. What do you think? Is this idealized family structure really healthy for society, or is it part of a big manipulation? Let's meet in the comments. See you in our next video. Goodbye.